Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott, and I've decided I'm not going to talk with my hands anymore. Maybe I do that too much, but maybe that's a good thing, or just a little bit. Welcome back here again. Today's episode is going to be on talking with my hands, making conversation. I want to work on making conversation. It sounds easy enough in the format of it, especially when you're meeting somebody, maybe for the first time, and making conversation at a social situation, for example, like a party or meeting somebody in class, or even sitting next to that person on the flight. So making conversation, nothing too serious or deep yet, just getting started. So one of the first things that is a common hand there, which is very common to ask where the person lives. So just have to be careful on where do you live compared with where are you from. They have different meanings. So where do you live means now. Where do you live? I live in Yokohama, for example. Whereas where are you from does not mean where you live now, but it means where you come from originally. So where do you live and where are you from? So if somebody asks me where am I from, I'll answer I'm from America, Pennsylvania to be more exact. So where are you from would be your hometown, compared to where do you live means your present domicile, where you are right now. Okay, be careful on that one, but it's a very good question. Both are for making conversation. Next up, everybody has basic things they do in life. They live, they eat, they sleep, and they work. So also it's common to ask people about their professions. So a very good one is, it's very simple, but it's understood. What do you do? What do you do? That equals your work. It doesn't mean what you're doing right now, like speaking here on YouTube, but it's kind of my work too. But anyways, what do you do means what is your job? What is your job? Job is not really a common question to ask somebody. The most common one is what do you do? What do you do? I work for an insurance company. What do you do? I'm a civil servant. What do you do? In my case, I would say I'm an English teacher. So what do you do is the most common way, and it refers to what that profession, your work is. Another one is, it's a little bit more formal perhaps, is what line of work are you in? What line of work are you in? And that means what line of work are you in can just the general idea. I'm in sales, or I'm an engineer, or I'm an architect. What line of work are you in? And again, that's a little bit more formal. If I am asked that one, which is pretty good level, I would say I'm an English teacher. What line of work are you in? A little more formal, and the always useful and ready to go, what do you do? Okay? So we got the living done. We have the working done. Now, outside of work and part of your living, your lifestyle may be things that you like to do. So what are you interested in is a very good question here. What are you interested in? That can cover everything. I'm interested in sports. I'm interested in movies. I'm interested in golf. I'm interested in collecting stamps. It covers everything. What are you interested in? Now, I just want to say on the more common one that's often maybe asked by my students and many people here in Japan is, what is your hobby? Now the question is, grammatically it's fine, there's not a mistake to it, but it's not very natural. Native speakers don't, almost maybe nobody asks, what is your hobby? What are you interested in is much more conversational. I won't say don't use what is your hobby, but I would not recommend it. Okay, what are you interested in covers everything. What is your hobby is not used as much. Okay, now about the family situation as well. Now maybe a little bit forward to ask, are you married, or do you have any children? It's possible, but in the beginning, and maybe suddenly, are you married? It may be a little bit too direct in the beginning. Anyways, you can put a kind of a sentence question out there, and you ask somebody or say to somebody, tell me about your family. Tell me about your family. And that covers everybody. So if the person's single, they can talk about their parents or brothers and sisters. If somebody's married, they can talk about their wife or husband and children. So tell me about your family. the person who receives that makes up their mind what they want to talk about. So maybe they just want to say, I live by myself, and that's done with. But tell me about your family is a safe way to go when you want to inquire, ask about somebody's family. Okay? Very good there. Now, I want to give you one that's very useful as well with what are you interested in. Now, if you want to go even a little bit more in detail, what kind of do you like? My there means you put in the topic. So just remember the pattern. It's very good. What kind of, one more time there, do you like? So what kind of movies do you like? What kind of books do you like? What kind of food do you like? What kind of Japanese food do you like? What kind of places do you like? It covers everything. And it's very useful in that regard. And it gives the person the opportunity to say, I like action movies, or I like mystery books, or I like visiting small towns in local prefectures. They can choose what they want to talk about and what they like in that regard. So it's very useful. Just remember the pattern. What kind of comes first? What kind of do you like? Be careful not what movies, kind of, or so. Make sure you get what kind of. Now, sometimes I come across what kind of do you like movies? So that's the mistake there. So what kind of movies do you like? Remember that pattern there, everybody. It's very useful. Okay. Now, this next one is going to come. If you're here in Japan and you meet somebody that's not from Japan, now you may be curious why that person is in Japan. It's not a bad idea. It's a common curiosity. It's also a common question. But you got to be careful on making that question to the person. So why did you come to Japan can be a little bit direct in that case. So a very safe way to ask is, what brought you to Japan? What brought you to Japan? That's a polite and safe way to go. Now, I won't say why did you come to Japan is terribly bad. I don't go that far. But you just have to be careful where what brought you to Japan is a much safer way to go. So what brought you to Japan? I came here to study, or I came here to work, or I came here because my brother was living here, which was my case in the beginning. So what brought you to Japan? It basically means, why did you come to Japan? It's just a softer way to say it, and a much more polite and a friendlier way, I think, as well. So what brought you to Japan? Okay, that's a good question. And of course, you should not ask that to a Japanese person because it's kind of made nonsensical. I was born here. So the last thing I want to cover is on making conversation. Sometimes it comes up, and you have to be careful with that. And the almighty and highly curious question people want to ask is your age. How old are you? Everybody knows the pattern. How old are you? It doesn't change from that. But you have to be careful with that. Now, of course, with an older person, or a person, for a male to a female, it may be a little bit sensitive. You have to be careful. Now, if it's a kid, if you're asking somebody who's obviously a teenager, it's not a problem. Younger person, it's probably going to be okay, but you have to be careful. Personally, I got used to it. I don't mind it myself, but I don't speak for everybody. Some people don't want to be asked that. Generally speaking, in America, it's not a question that people are going to ask, especially in a first time meeting somebody situation at a party or a social function. So you just got to be careful with how old are you. So, but if you're curious on my age, you can leave a comment and ask how old are you, and I may get back to you on that, but that's up to you. So that's what I want to cover today, is making conversation, especially for meeting people for the first time at a party or some kind of event or so. So whereas the questions like, where do you live? Where are you from? What do you do? Tell me about your family. What kind of food do you like? Especially Japanese food do you like? They're all good to go. And be careful with how old are you? And also, what's your hobby? Maybe best to stay away from it to a certain extent. It's not rude by any means, but what are you interested in works much better, I believe. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching here today, and I hope it helped you with making conversation, especially when you're meeting somebody for the first time. Thanks for watching, and thanks for anything else you do, like leaving a comment or liking or subscribing. We really appreciate that. And we'll be back here again before too long with more useful, helpful, everyday, hopefully English. Until then, everybody, thanks for watching. We'll be back here again soon. Thanks.